Hello, everyone, and welcome to 48-Hour Art Check. I'm Kayla. This is Emily. I'm used to being in the middle now with you on this side of me.
Yeah, I'm on the wrong side.
I know. Here, wait. There we go. We fixed it. So I'm here with Emily, and we're just back. We're having fun. So if you haven't been on 48-Hour Art Check before, if you haven't seen our 48-Hour Art Check before, then we're going to start off with our last 48.
Yeah.
Like we always do.
Yeah.
What have you been up to?
I have been up to stuff. The same stuff as I've been up to. Let me add my screen. So I've made some progress on the clue characters, some more than others. I think I can just go down.
Wow.
Yeah. That one was fun doing all the beading on whatever her name is, Miss Peacock. Or Mrs. Okay. Peacock, I don't know. I'm obviously making a little bit more progress on the women than the men, which falls into my normal pattern. But we're getting there. Sometimes I just try to find one that's easy to work on and see where that one goes to kind of set the tone for the rest of them.
Gotcha.
That's kind of what I'm doing. And then I've got the box isn't, or like the cover isn't done because there's still like, I should have done like a value composition because now I'm at the point where everything's made, but I don't know what colors and values to make everything. Mm-hmm. I should know I want the windows to be really bright and the lighting to be really bright. So yeah, we're at that.
It looks awesome.
Thank you. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I have a couple different things. This week has just kind of been like, I'm gonna do mini projects. Just for some reason. So I got this beauty. This is Emily's old iPad that I bought from her. So this, it's been amazing. And so I'm not like an artist in like the traditional.
You are an artist.
I'm an artist. I'm just not
I hate that phrase. You are an artist.
I'm an artist. I'm not an illustrator.
Okay, that's fair.
Unless it's Adobe Illustrator, and then it's fine. Anyways, I drew this little dinosaur. Which took me a long time. And then my favorite thing about him is that I can like switch his hats. But yeah, that took me a lot longer than I expected it to, just because that was really hard. And like the brush strokes, I'm learning brush strokes.
You're learning those, yeah.
Yeah, because like this whole thing is like filled in, but then you can see the brush strokes right there. And I really like that, but I can't figure out how to get it. Anyways. So that's been fun. That's a challenge. And then I have been doing some photography.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I haven't been able to actually, I've been working on getting this motion project. Sorry, that's not what I was trying to show. I've been working on this motion. So the challenge for this week for this photography thing is blurred motion. Mm-hmm. And I spent like an hour minimum today on the floor flicking cards at my camera and flipping a book. I just can't figure it out whatsoever. So I'm going to talk to my boss and try and learn a little bit more.
You need the shutter open longer.
The shutter was open, but everything that I was doing was just too thin and moving too fast, so you couldn't really see it. Like, does that make sense?
Was it like too blurry? Like, was it one like solid blur?
No, so like I would flip cards at it, and the cards you couldn't even see because they moved so fast, and they were so thin that you just couldn't see them anywhere. So it was rough. I don't understand what was happening, but yeah.
You know what the easiest thing to do for that though? For a motion blur?
Is it a car?
Just go find a creek or just some flowing water and then put it on a tripod, leave it open, and then it blurs.
I might do that. My friend's been saying to just go take a picture of a car, like just set up my tripod and drive past it. But I've seen so many people do pictures of cars.
You could do streets. You could do like hold it on a tripod and people walk by.
Yeah, I've been thinking of some stuff. I mean, I have until Saturday to do it as per the challenge. But I might. Other than that, though, I did some pretty cool photography. This month is Mental Health Awareness Month. I have a mental health awareness brand, and so I actually took some self portraits. I was trying to like convey. Oh, come on! Trying to convey like some emotions with it. And then I also just was taking pictures of comic books. So I had
Nice.
like these sad pictures.
And then something nice and colorful.
Yeah. So this one is because of Visual Society, which I'm president for. We needed some pictures, and my dad has a bunch of comic books. So yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, so I did self portraiture, and then I took a whiteboard down off my wall, put it down, got my LED lamp set up, and like just kind of stood on the whiteboard and walked all around. And
Cool.
so yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
But that's what I've been up to. So, with that all being said, what have your challenges been?
I always forget that we talk about challenges, so I never think about what they are.
That's good, I think.
I guess, yeah, because I'm not like in my head. There weren't very many. It's just schedule, like being at work all day. Like halfway through work, I just wish that I was at work drawing, like if that was my job. And then I get kind of cranky because I get bored doing my other job, and so. Then when I come home. So today I didn't do anything. I played video games because I came home a little bit cranky. So I don't know. I feel like that's a really normal problem for me is cranky. So that's what happened to me, I guess.
That's that's relatable. I'm like trying to think. For me, my sleep schedule is just all kinds of messed up. Like it's pretty bad. It's like 4 a.m. bedtime, 1 p.m. wake up time.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm not doing it on purpose either. I had something come up. I was just talking to Emily about it. I had something happen and it just completely just threw me off. And so it's just like it threw me off in a lot of ways, and so my sleep schedule's all messed up. And then I am making plans to move back to Idaho way sooner than I expected. So I feel like me moving is always just like, oh yeah, now I'm moving. Like it's never like, oh yeah, I've been planning this out. Nope. It's always just like
happens.
Yep. I'm always just like, I'm moving. And so yeah, so I'm moving back to Idaho, which I'm actually super excited about.
Yeah, the weather's great here right now.
Dude, it was 90 degrees outside today here.
No, it's like I'm gonna check the weather app right now and tell you what it is. It's actually been really cool.
Yeah,
it's 46 right now.
That's so nice. That is t-shirt weather.
It's a little bit cooler than like I would prefer with like no cardigan, but I really like cardigan weather. So
yeah, for me, like I'm just ready to get back. I'll be back there for my birthday, which will be nice because I'll get to spend it with friends.
Yeah.
You know, and so just that kind of stuff. I'm excited to come back. I've been ready to come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just kind of been its own challenge that I didn't foresee. Other than that, like art-wise, the motion blur, that's going to be the death of me. But yeah. Oh, I forgot something to show. I've been working on this video, but it's for work. It's literally just like overlaying Photoshop documents on a video. It's pretty boring, but it's taking up a good amount of time. It's taken up a good amount of time. So that's something else, but it's somebody's senior project that my boss is helping them with. So I am now helping with it because it's my boss. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty fun.
Cool.
What are you going to do between now and I think our next art check is Wednesday?
Yeah,
so.
Probably. Maybe I'll be finished. Maybe. But I don't know. I think if I'm not finished, like I would say that all of the characters would be at like 75% done type of a thing. It's hard to tell because I'm working on them all at once, but hopefully that's where I'll be. Oh, and I didn't mention, I've been working on mock-ups so I can make like store ads to show like prints and stuff. So I have a goal to get a little bit more store focused with my Instagram because I got my first sale last week and I really want to just, now that I actually saw it happen, I want to get more. So yeah, and I'm like jealous of a lot of my friends who I see are running Etsy stores. Like somebody tweeted today that they sent their husband off to go buy a TV with all of the money she earned from Etsy alone. And so she's like, sugar mama, whoop whoop, taking care of the fam with Etsy. And I was like, I want that life. And I saw this other girl on Facebook who like is always sharing about what she's doing. And she does like handmade stuff. So she's working like all day to fulfill orders. And she'll have like a stack of boxes like somewhere in her house and be like, done, good day, got lots of stuff going out. I'm like, I want orders coming in. Like that's what I want, is to like not just have like what is it called? What's the print on demand? I don't want a print on demand store. I do it all myself. Like I have a printer, I'm printing it out, even if it's stickers or something. Like, and if it's something I can't make, then I'm the one fulfilling the orders and having stock and stuff and filling it out. So I want to do that. And seeing the one sale gave me a glimpse of that it could happen, but also that it's really far away. So, yeah. Oh, thank you.
Hello, Frank and Maddie. Look, you're just getting hyped up in the chats tonight.
I know, people love me. What can I say?
You're getting hyped up in the chats tonight. You deserve it, though. You do. I remember you. We were sitting on here right after the episode ended, and you were like,
last week.
I just So yeah, you definitely deserve. One of my favorite things that you've ever done. You showed it to me like a year ago. Your little snowflake, like
the boxing one.
I think so. It's a little snowflake.
It's super old.
I know, but I love it.
I put it on the store because I'm like, I still like this. Like,
I love it.
Super old, but I kind of still like this.
I love it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I feel like if I haven't shown this, I should have shown it like 2 weeks ago. But I've been working on these logo concepts for my job. Have I shown those?
I don't think so. Or at least not when I've been here. Unless I see them and recognize them.
Yeah, I'll pull them up. Just because it's super easy. Because I learned how to quit. You know, you can pull up Illustrator documents in preview. If you click on the Illustrator document and press spacebar, it'll show you all your artboards.
Oh, cool! I think I might have done that in the past and just forgotten that you could do that. Have
you seen these?
I have not seen them.
So this one, it's all a work in progress. Mm-hmm. And then this one, I liked this one a lot. Kind of was shut down, but I like this one a lot.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm working on these logos for this brand Stratazine. It's part of my job.
Thing. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So my boss has actually just assigned me to kind of work on this stuff, which I love. Like my job is the best. I love it because it's like, hey, do you want to design something? Like, hey, grade stuff, please, and show up to class. But can you make these videos? Can you design stuff?
Yeah.
And I always forget to show my job stuff on here because my job is so self-directed that I can show it.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, so I want to work some more on those just because they're not in the exact direction that they're looking for.
Right.
But I want to work on that, and then I want to figure out this motion blur picture. And I just want to keep drawing stuff. I'm having so much fun. You're
in like this whole developmental stage of like, I want to draw more stuff. I want to take motion blur pictures. I want this and this and this. Yeah.
Yeah, which is really nice because I haven't been in this stage in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to pace myself as well. We could have done a topic on this tonight, and I just didn't think about it. But really quick, I'll just say
Next time.
Yeah, next time. Next week we'll talk about this. We've done an episode before, I think, similar to this, where we talked about addiction.
Mm.
When I became a designer, I basically replaced like my nicotine addiction with design.
That's right. I remember you talking about this one. I think this was right before I started going on with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I'm one of the reasons I'm moving back to Idaho is because it's a lot easier for me to fall back into old habits here, and I don't want to. Like, I just got a super prestigious scholarship, and I can lose that so fast, and I can lose everything if I smoke one cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying not to make design an unhealthy habit again. And so I'm trying to find this balance, which is why I like having the iPad, because it's not like I'm going to produce 20 projects. It's like, I'm going to draw a dinosaur.
It's very like, I'm just going to draw something.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be a huge project. I could do it in an hour.
Yeah. That's kind of like why I'm loving this.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I'm going to keep drawing stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. So with that being said, our topic, I'll introduce it just because I'm excited about this one.
Yeah.
So I came up with this because, and I'm going to say this and not try and like sound braggy about myself.
Okay.
Okay. I don't like being like egotistical about like my achievements and stuff. I feel really weird about it. Anyways, one of my bosses had nominated me for this scholarship, and then it's like I was told this so many times throughout the application progress that I don't feel bad saying it. It's the most prestigious award that our university has to offer. Every college student has like the opportunity to get it. Nobody knows it exists though.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you have to be nominated and then chosen from the nominations to apply. And then you have to apply, and then you get chosen from the applicants, and then you get interviewed by 5 people, and then you're in the top 11, and then you get chosen. So I just got chosen. And thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so it's really cool. I get 120% of tuition. It's amazing. And the whole purpose around, and it's
awesome.
Yeah, and it's prorated if I do half semesters. So I get 120% of 6 credits. It's an amazing.
Right. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's super cool. Anyways, this whole scholarship is based on leadership. It's called it's like the people's names, and then it's the leadership scholarship. And so basically you have to get nominated. And luckily, Maddie said, brag away. It's so exciting. I feel bad being like, I got this prestigious thing.
My cat is rubbing the camera. So
it's okay.
That's why it's moving.
So I got this amazing thing. And the whole time, like the whole application, I had to talk about leadership. And then my whole interview was 30 minutes long. 5 people were asking me questions, and every single one was about like, how am I a leader? What do I think a leadership quality is? What difficulties have I faced while being a leader? And so I thought this would be interesting specifically for the 2 of us, because I'm still a TA, but you were a TA for a very long time. You were actually my TA. That's how I got to know you.
Yeah.
And being a TA in itself is like kind of a leadership role. Like it is, because you're helping students, and you're kind of in this whole like phase of like, you're helping people, and you're doing this, and you're being trusted with a lot. And so I thought it'd be really interesting, just because we both kind of have the TA perspective. And then, I'm Visual Society president, and you've done a bunch of amazing things. And so I feel like it would just be really cool, like for the 2 of us to kind of chat about what do we think a leader is? What are qualities that we've seen in leaders that like we think like aren't necessarily bad, but like in ourselves, even like what have we done that, we think should be improved, like just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like, and like leadership roles, like, are you a leader even if you're not in a leadership role?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so I just thought it'd be really fascinating. I definitely thought we could fill up an hour on it.
Yeah.
And it's not exactly pertaining to art, which I know we had discussed, like maybe not doing strictly art topics anymore. And so I just thought it'd be fascinating because I got asked all these questions on the spot.
Yeah.
Because I was like sitting here on Zoom and I was like, yeah, I just wasn't prepared for these types of questions.
Right.
Obviously I did well.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah.
yeah, it's just not something that you really think of until you're kind of prompted to. So I mean, and we have people in the chats too. So like what are good qualities of a leader? So I'm gonna let you start with it because I just kind of want to hear yours because obviously I know my answers now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just curious.
So I didn't think up a ton of things, but one of the things that I did think up of was that I feel like I've heard this somewhere, like a good leader takes responsibility for like things that they've done wrong and doesn't take responsibility like in the good way of like the things that are good. Like the things that happened well, they're like, oh, that wasn't me, that was my team.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like they did the work. I just pointed them in the right direction. But they do own up to the mistakes. And I think the reason why that's really important is because when a leader doesn't do that, specifically the owning up to mistakes, a lot of things go wrong. Like a lot of trust falls apart. Like a lot of, if you don't put the people that work for you on a pedestal, then why do they have any reason to like please you or do anything for you? You know what I mean? Like if you're the one asking them to do all this stuff, but if something goes wrong, they get thrown under the bus for every little thing. Like it's not a great way of getting people to, I mean, in the most flat way of saying it, do what you want,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Salazar said leading by example.
That's the other thing that I thought of too.
Yeah.
Like they set an example. You can look at what they're doing and follow what they do, and then by doing that, that makes them happier. You know what I mean? So if they want you to, I don't know, this is like a thing like that I felt like we've learned a lot in communication classes, and like especially like the organizational communication. Like if everybody in an organization kind of like breathes and eats and like is the brand, like they understand the mission statement, they understand, every aspect of the organization, like then everything works, and I feel like that's the same with like just leading by example. So
yeah, just building off of leading by example. And this is you don't even know that you affected me in this way, but you were the first TA that I ever had show up to class.
Oh,
the first one.
Well, do you want to know something?
What?
Curse TAs always show up to class. That's just how it works.
Yeah, and same with Liberts Rognans, and I believe Esplins.
He wants the TA to show up to class. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is too, I mean, that was an 8 a.m. class. Ugh.
Yeah.
You were never like upset to be there, and if you were, you didn't show it.
When I'm like tired, I just don't talk. So
but you were always like you were always there, and then I became a TA 2 semesters after, and I was like, I'm always going to show up to class, and I'm going to show up to class as happy as I can, and this is what I'm going to do, because you were like the first TA that ever showed up to class, and then you were like giving us feedback in class. I was like, this is what a TA should be. I was like, I don't know any of my other TAs. This is nuts. Like, this is what a TA should do, and this is what a TA should be. And so, needless to say, I stand by leading by example, because like you led by example, and now I'm the TA that shows up to class, and I'm the one that's always there.
You want to know like a little secret?
Huh?
I felt like I wasn't very cool. Like I because I'm very like in person, I'll be like totally down to, you know, help you out and stuff and provide feedback. I also like have a background, like when I was in Soapbox, I gave a lot of feedback.
Mhm.
But yeah, I thought I was kind of like not really going above and beyond. I was just showing up to class and grading stuff and answering questions.
Yeah. I mean, the specific time I remember talking to you was by sticker set, in which you could have said so much.
Was that the donut from okay.
You could have been very mean, and you weren't. You were like, okay, let's sit here. I don't know if you remember this, but you were like, let's sit here and come up with other ideas that you could do. And
I
you
don't remember
literally
this.
sat with me in class, and like it was like me and like my two other group members, because we had to split up into like trios.
Okay.
And you were just like sitting there with me, and I think the other two of them wound up talking, and you're like, let's come up with other ideas. And you like said it so nicely, and you sat with me, and we came up with other ideas like for my stickers.
I'm so impressed with my former self.
Like, you're the reason that I did this the thin blue line sticker. Not to get political on anybody, but like the shield with the American flag with the blue line in it.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So not to get political, because I know that's a whole political thing, but you're like the one that helped me come up with that sticker idea.
I did?
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah. So I'm just saying that's a prime example of leading by example.
Cool.
Because yeah.
Crazy, because like when I look back on like me as a leader, I'm like, oh yeah, I did not do this well or this well or this well. Like even as a TA, like if people asked me questions they could have just looked up or something, like I was very frank with them. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like I don't know. My perception of myself as a TA is that I'm meaner than you think I am. That was my whole perception of me as a TA. I say no to everything, and I'll give you, and I will make sure you get feedback, basically. But apparently, I wasn't as mean as I thought I was.
So. At least not to me.
Yeah, apparently.
But yeah, no, you were just a fun TA, and I remember I liked you. I liked you as a TA. And so I've made every single one of my reverse engineer posts superhero themes, just because I was like, people might be doing really boring graphics. I was like, I'm going to do fun ones. I'm going to do fun ones. I like this TA, and I know she's grading them because I can see it on her screen.
I can see her grading them in class.
But yeah, anyways, so that was my first experience with a TA, and now I'm a TA. And I think it's funny because, like, me, you, and Kylie's the other TA, the other visual comms TA. Yeah. And so now the three of us have kind of grouped up. I'm going to see if I can get Kylie on here one day.
That'd be fun. That would be to so chat fun. It up. We would have, like, if we didn't have a schedule, it would be like a 2-hour art check.
Yeah. If we found a time where we could just sit here for 2 hours, it would literally be a 2-hour art check, and it'd be so fascinating and so fun.
Tim would totally test that, be like, yeah, you guys won't shut up. Like
Tim will walk in the room. You guys are
like,
still going.
You're still talking. Of course you are.
Before Corona hit, the three of us would get together, and their husbands, so your husband and Kylie's husband, we would all get together on Sundays. Anyways, but yeah, so then I had her as a TA, and it was the same thing.
She's awesome, though.
Kylie is amazing.
I want to teach people. I want to help people. That's what makes me happy. And I'm kind of selfish. Like, I feel like I'm like, what do you want? Okay, I'll help you.
Yeah, Kylie's amazing. And she was the other TA, the second TA that I ever had that like showed up to class. And then there was a third TA who I didn't replace her. She left. And then I came back, and then she just didn't get to come back because I was there.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, she was only there for one more semester, and I'm here for like 2 more years, and so I just got to stay. But yeah. So it was just interesting to me because it like opened up this world of like, oh, like, okay. And then I got asked to be a TA and I was like, I am always showing up. I was like, I was TA Com 130. I was like, I'm always going to be there. I'm always going to be available to answer questions. I will literally do this. I was working Saturdays. Like I was the most available that I could have been. I was like, I will
really?
show up. Yeah. So it was interesting. But yeah, so that was one. My answer that I gave for the interview was that I feel like a leader should include everybody. Because I feel like there's a common misconception about leaders, which is like they got to do it all. They have to micromanage. They have to see everything. It's all up to them. It's their ideas. It's like it's their way or the highway. All this stuff, and I hate people like that, like a lot. Like they get on my. I'm working with somebody like that right now,
and you can't handle it.
I can't handle it, and so I will literally cut that person off, and I won't even interject my ideas. I'll be like, hey, everybody else in the group that's being really quiet right now, because I don't say it this way, but like, hey, everybody that's not getting a chance to talk, what are you guys thinking? And like, I literally will cut this person off, like a lot, and it's very exhausting. But like, I don't care that I'm not like we don't even have like an assigned leader in this group. But
I mean, like, everybody kind of falls into familiar roles.
Yeah, and so this person is trying to come off as like the leader and like doing all this stuff, which is funny because behind the scenes I'm like, hey everybody, this is how we do our assignments. This is how we do this. Let's make sure everybody has an equal say.
You're organizing everything.
Yeah. And so, and my thing is, I don't care that I'm not technically the leadership role, but like my whole thing is like a leader needs to make sure that everybody's involved. Like if you become a leader strictly because you want to have the final say, that's not why you should become a leader.
Supposed to be. Yeah.
Yes. That's not why you should be a leader. You should be a leader because you want to make sure that this project works for everybody and that everybody gets a say. You know, maybe people will say something dumb. That's fine. We've all said dumb things, you know. Like,
yeah.
But first off, you don't tell them that it's dumb. No, you don't do it.
Yeah.
But also like you make sure that everybody gets a say because some people are too afraid to speak up. I've changed a lot since you met me even. Like I've changed so much, but I was the one in class who was like, I was too afraid to speak up. I didn't want to say anything. Like that just wasn't me. I didn't want to do it. And I started to realize like, okay, if I'm not the one speaking up, other people aren't going to be the ones that speak up. And so then for me, being a leader was like, I want to make sure that everybody gets the chance to say something and nobody's being like railroaded.
Yeah.
And so for me, I feel like that's a really important quality of a leader. They're not trying to take over. They're trying to like make sure that everybody's getting to do something.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people perceive leaders as like some sort of type A personality type person. And that's why they're the leader, because they're the loudest, they're the most vocal, the most opinionated, or they have the strongest vision of what they want in mind. But like a real good leader is like somebody who just understands the whole group and like what each person has to offer and like why they're valuable and is able to help them accomplish their tasks. Like they're able to motivate or, you know, just utilize the group to the best, not like they just have the strongest opinion. So they're the one that wins, you know?
Yeah. You were the TA for this class again, but when we did me and this group of people made a children's book.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was the project manager. And that semester was my first time being a project manager. And looking back on it, I can see so many mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's me too. Like I can totally see so many mistakes that I've made as,
I think that and the reason I want to say this is because you should definitely make sure that everybody's getting their say. Yeah. But as a leader, you also need to delegate, but stay on top of people. Like for me, I did not stay on top of people in my group, and the project could have been so much better. I also just kind of listened blindly because we had a student who was like, I just want to do this. And we were like, can you do this? And they were like, no. We were like, okay. And they were like, but I want to learn. I will do it. I want to learn. And we were like, okay. And so basically, there were two of us that were supposed to be working on that one. And the two that were supposed to be working on the thing that this student wanted to wound up being on something that we had never done before. At least I didn't know how to use Photoshop to save my life. My book pages became straight Photoshop. And I was like, okay, great learning experience. I can use Photoshop quite well now. But it's not like, I'm trying to think. It was something that could have been avoided if I had kind of been like, no, like if you're experienced in this, this is where we need to use you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I feel like delegating is a key part, but you need to not delegate too much. There's like a balance, and it's hard to find.
Yeah, you should be pulling just as much as everybody else is pulling. You know what I mean? But because you're the leader, that means you have to make sure that everybody is actually pulling. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't exactly get to be like the timid one.
You have to be the one who's like, hey, are you doing this? Hey. Yeah. Yeah, there's not fun parts about leadership. So when I was in Soapbox, I had to like have a meeting. Like, hi, person that's directly under me, you need to work harder, or you might not have a future here. Like have a difficult discussion of like, your whole group doesn't know what you're up to. Are you up to anything? Like, yeah. So, I mean, and that's the part that's like,
it's hard.
Not great. Yeah. But something that I've learned is like, you just got to do it. Like, be nice. You know, it is important that they still have respect for you during and after difficult conversations, but you have to do it, you know, like you have to stay on top of people's, I don't know, like making sure that they're doing stuff. Yeah. And that's the kind of not fun part.
Yeah. It's being a leader is very interesting because you're kind of like finding this balance of like, you want everybody to like you. You want to be respected. You want to respect everybody else.
You want to make sure that people aren't, I mean, this is going to sound really severe, but like walking all over you, you know, like that's not really what's happening. You know, it's really just people get busy and they have multiple priorities. And so if you're not making sure that they're following through, then they might work on something else that's not related to whatever you're being the leader of, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, and delegation has been my extreme downfall. Not because I delegate too little, but I delegate too much. I'm pulling the same weight, but I'm just pulling my weight elsewhere.
Yeah.
Like, for example, Visual Society presidency. Being the president doesn't necessarily mean that I'm working on all the small projects that people are working on. I'm working on like, okay, how is this going to function? Where is our budget going? Like all of this like stuff that people are looking to me for, which obviously like I'm president. And so then I delegate like other stuff, like other assignments and do all this stuff. And the delegation, I just trust that people are doing what they said they were going to do. Not most of the time people aren't doing what they said they were going to do.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, and it's just hard because like, for me, I get really aggravated, but I can't really get aggravated because that's on me. I haven't been checking up. And so the comic book picture that I took was because I wasn't getting answers from anybody. And so I was like, fine, here's what you're posting tomorrow.
Yeah.
I was like, here's what's happening. And I mean, this student has been the one that the students have been amazing and super helpful, but just like on this one thing, they obviously need an extra hand. And I like had to carve time out of my day. And so,
and that's like, also like, I mean, as you start to get paid for, you know, these things, like they're paying essentially to do it right now. But like in a work environment, like people are more motivated. Like you don't have a great deck of cards when you're dealing with students all the time because they're excited and, you know, they're motivated, but then they get super busy because they're students, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but like in a work environment, like you do your job or else there's no reason for you to be there, and then you don't have a paycheck. And so like,
yeah,
being able to speak up and be like, I have a problem, somebody help me, or else I can't do my job, that happens way more, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so I wouldn't necessarily say, I mean, like it's pretty common in like to just get something for your boss, and if you don't have any questions, that's the last time they ask about it, unless they haven't seen anything from you in a long time, and then be like, wait, are you working on this, you know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, it doesn't have to be your job to nag people to do their jobs unless they make that the case, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And the issue is like there was this huge motivating factor for everybody to do stuff. And then Adobe Max got canceled. And so we were all going to go. And that's why we had so many people and we had all this stuff. And then Max got canceled. And
Then a ton of
everybody's
people
just
drop
kind of
out.
like out. And it was like, okay, like now it's like me and two people that are like,
whoa,
doing everything. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's nuts. And this is a semester where we kind of need everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's nuts.
That
But
sucks.
it is what I mean. I volunteered to be president and I love being president, but yeah, it's fun. It's really difficult to it's really difficult to figure out, especially because like I feel like as a leader too, one of the difficult things is you always are expected to show up. You always are expected to be there. You always are expected to have the answers. Although your life may go crazy, but you're still expected to show up and be there because you're the leader. Like that's your job.
They need you. Yeah.
And I feel like that's not something that people talk about much. It's like, oh yeah, I love being the leader. I get to make all this stuff. But like if your life goes haywire, you're still the leader. You're still the one that's making the decisions.
And that's the thing. I think people realize like you can be the leader and need help. You know, like you can be the leader and not know the answers. You can be the leader and like there's different styles of leadership, which could involve, you know, you guys working as a group to come to a consensus, which is a normal thing, especially in like school projects or whatever. But like you don't have to be the leader that pretends to know everything, or you know what I mean? Like something that I've always kind of liked doing is like I don't know, what do you think? And you know, like listening to that, like even just like in my experience of like daycare, you know, like, you know, if a kid is upset about something, like I would prefer to problem solve with the child that is 6 years old of what we could do to be better. You know what I mean? Like, you know, here are my boundaries, here are my rules, what are yours? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I feel like people, it's a good way to like help people stay engaged, and also just like, I don't know, like no person knows everything. Like no person is perfect. And I feel like people pretend that leaders are. And I think that's why there's kind of like a status to them, and why maybe like they are associated with that type A personality of like, I'm in charge, you know what I mean? But like the reality is like you're just as imperfect as everybody else, you know? And so I feel like kind of like bringing back to before, like owning up to that. I don't know.
No, yeah. It's interesting because it's interesting to see everybody's different leadership styles. And for me, I was just thinking about this. I obviously am in a lot of leadership roles. I struggle so hard with my age.
Oh, really? Like being young?
Because everybody that I'm in charge of is older than me. And not just like by 1 year. Because I TA'd the capstone class. And like that's not full of like 20-year-olds and all that. That's full of like
they're graduating.
They're graduating. They're typically like 23, 24.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for me because it's like, I'm younger than all of you.
Do you
And
want to know a secret?
Hmm.
It doesn't matter.
I know. And I think for me, one struggle has been like, age doesn't equal skill.
Yeah, exactly. I
Does
mean, it did like up until college.
Mhm.
Like if you were a year older, that meant you were a year smarter. That meant you had, but it totally, I mean, in college, unless you're like a freshman, age doesn't really matter. Like there's so much varying levels of experience and skill and all that jazz. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just interesting because it's always been something because not to get super like religious at our school, but people do stuff for like 2 years. And so then they don't start college until they're 20.
Yeah,
Well,
so they
I
just
got
are
there.
older.
Yeah. And so I got there at 18 and we had to raise our hands in class like for like public speaking. It was like, who's the youngest? Who thinks they're the youngest? And somebody raised their hand. They were like, I'm 21. And then a bunch of hands dropped. And I was sitting there in the back like this.
I'm a child. Hi.
It's like, I just turned 18. And so it's just like interesting because when you're a leader, like nobody's looking at your age. Yeah, leadership knows no age. Yeah. When you're a leader, nobody knows your age. Nobody's even going to ask.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Unless
They
you
care-
like act immature. Yeah.
Yeah, which I try not to. Unless I'm like off the clock and then
Then you can be yourself or whatever. Yeah.
and then I'm in D&D jumping on everything,
Yeah.
which is 100% appropriate for my age. But, like it's so interesting to me to like watch people that are like I guess older than me struggle with stuff and like struggle with being a leader because it makes me feel better. Like, is that bad?
I
Like,
mean, it's fine. There's some triggers that cause people to feel good about themselves that are weird, and everybody has
it's
theirs.
It's not like I don't enjoy watching people fail. It's just like seeing that somebody else is struggling as well as I am.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like this isn't like a weird thing. Like this isn't on like, this isn't just me that's struggling with this thing.
Oh, okay.
Somebody else is. Yeah, I'm not saying I don't feel
you're
better.
Saying like I feel better helping somebody older than me on something that I already have experience with.
Oh no.
Okay.
No, it makes me feel better to watch somebody else, and typically they're older than me, struggle with something that I'm also struggling with.
Yeah.
Like, because it kind of shows like in my head, I'm starting to kind of get this idea of like older doesn't mean better. And so I think it's interesting because at least for me and like all of my friends are older than me by a couple of years, except for like my best friend.
Matter.
Yeah, except for like my best friend. But my point with that was I feel like people that are typically like younger in the group, like we know it. Like, does that make sense? We know it. And we're always not going to talk up about it. Like, we're not going to speak up about it. And that's just been my experience.
About your age?
Just about in general. Just like in general. Like, typically, like if you're younger, then you just kind of see everything.
Like, oh, I don't know. You must be smarter than me.
Because we're so used to that mentality of like, older means smarter.
Yeah.
And so when you're kind of in a classroom, and I'm speaking from multiple experiences because I've been in classes with people that are my age, and then people that are definitely older than us, and we're in a group project. And the person that's my age, we're always just sitting there, just kind of quietly chilling. Like,
that's so interesting because I feel like I've had like kind of the opposite.
Really?
Maybe not like the opposite experience. I'm just now psychoanalyzing why I might feel this way because I hadn't thought about it before. But like I started school like a year younger than everybody else. My mom like decided that I was a smart kindergartner, so I needed to be in first grade or something. And so I've been the baby like up until like halfway through college when I realized all my friends graduated and I was still here, and now I'm older than everybody else. But I was like way younger than, well, not way younger, but I was at least a year younger than everybody. And so.
And you didn't struggle with that?
No, because I didn't really think about it. I was just like, I'm here because I'm good at school. And so so my mommy told me that in the kindergarten I got to go to first grade. Like, that's why I deserve to be here, because I'm as smart as the person a year older than me. Like, and so I was never a thing that I thought about, like, oh, I'm just young. Like, it's something where it's like, you know, the first time, like, first day at work, it's like, well, I don't know. You definitely know more than I do. Tell me how to do blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
But not like in general, and not with like age usually isn't a thing that's like a barrier to me, because I assume I haven't dug deep in my emotions yet to discover there's some sort of other reason why. But yeah.
I think what kind of what kind of hits it home is like typically you're not thinking about people's age. But
Mhm.
in the classes that I've been in, it's always been like, oh, okay, the oldest person is the leader. Like, I hate it so much. But, okay, this happens a lot in the classes that I'm in.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It's like,
Why?
okay, tell everybody your age, and then the oldest person is the leader. And then it was like, I'm 18. And the person next to me was like, I'm 19. And then there was somebody that's like, I'm 25. And we were like, whatever, like, that's not all right. Like, and so I don't have issues with it unless it's like brought up, because I feel like, and you might be wrong, but like when that happens in class, that kind of automatically assumes that that person knows more.
Yeah.
Like in the visual,
Or at least they're like more mature, more able to handle more stressful situations or whatever. Yeah.
and in the visual classes, it's been struggles because it's never been in the visual classes. It's been in other comms classes and like foundations classes and religion classes and all that kind of stuff.
Huh.
And it's weird.
I haven't had that happen, but I remember.
I have it happen a lot, and it's my least favorite thing.
You know, I took a group dynamics class, and we took this like some Ivy League college made this program, like this like
Mount Everest.
the Mount Everest thing. And yeah, that was just random leaders. You all got to take turn being the leader and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
Which was like I don't know, just it doesn't matter.
That was cool.
And it was cool because it was a collaborative. Ultimately, the group's needs were before anybody else's. At least that's how my group played. And so, and being able to run it several times, it wasn't like, oh, this leader is the one that led us to success. Like they're better. It was just like, we got it that time. And then we experimented and something happened, you know, that made it worse or whatever. Like our group did terrible every time. We like couldn't quite get it figured out, like what was successful. But that wasn't like the leadership's fault. Like they were very much just facilitating. Okay, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? Okay, well then how do we get most people to get what they want? Yeah.
Interesting. This is totally like slightly a side tangent while we're also sticking on topic, so it's very fascinating.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know. It might just be, I think it really is just like, so that Mount Everest thing, we did that. And it was, as you're talking about it, I remember being like, our group was like, oh yeah, it says not to tell each other this stuff. This is dumb. We're telling
That's
each
what
other
we
this.
did too. We're like, let's all agree to just say the things that the program says not to tell your group members.
Don't tell your team that you have hypothermia. It's like, well, that's gonna affect us later.
Stupid. Hey guys, I have hypothermia, and apparently I'm not supposed to tell you. That's what we would do.
It was like somebody. It's like, you're asthmatic, and so you're gonna need extra oxygen, and it's like, why wouldn't you tell people?
Why wouldn't you say that?
Like, you're going to die if you don't tell people.
I think that's a good point, because like leadership isn't just one person is the leader. Like people can step up, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And as a group, the one person that they appointed charge, they should make it apparent to other people that like you have responsibility to help the group. We are one entity, and yes, communication is key. And if you have issues, that means that we have issues. So you need to say them, and you need to help us fix them. You know what I mean? And so it's not just one person. It's never on just one leader. It is so totally the group. And if the group works well, and if the group understands the needs of the group, like that's how you have success. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and this is interesting because we've hit all of the questions that I brought up. And we just haven't, we haven't discussed it all. Especially this one. It's like, just because you aren't the leader doesn't mean that you don't have the responsibility to try and lead. You don't get to, if you're trying to make a cake, you know, like you have a group of people, this is the best analogy that I can think of. You're trying to make a cake. You don't just have one person be like, I'm going to be strictly in charge of the dry ingredients, and that they kind of run over there with their bowl.
Mm-hmm.
You got to mix it all together. You got to put it all together. And that's an issue that I've seen a lot in groups, and I've had in groups, is like,
I'm in charge of this. Bye, guys. I'm going to go take care of this. I'm going to hold up my job. Are you going to hold up your job? Cool. We'll get together at the end. But everybody has the wrong stuff when you get together at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's interesting because we specifically tried to make a project where that wouldn't be an issue if people did that, and it still was an issue. But
yeah.
But it was just like, it's so fascinating, like, to kind of look back on all these projects that I've been in, that one failed hardcore, like bad. The storybook one was actually like pretty okay. Like that one came together. But I know that, like, as I've seen more and more of these classes and stuff and more groups, like, I'm learning a bunch. And one thing that I've noticed is, like, groups don't do well if one person is going to be a jerk and just try and take over.
It is so interesting how just one person can completely change the dynamic of a group and really spoil it. You know what I mean? Like, when you think about past group projects, the ones you think about are the ones that sucked.
Mm-hmm.
And you can always pin it on one reason why, one event that a person did. You know, like, we focus on negative things as like human beings, right? But like, you know, it's crazy how your whole group can do so well, but if, you know, one person just throws a wrench in it, I don't know. It just changes everything, and it makes it very dicey. I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm pulling up Caitlin's thing that she wanted us to show as we're talking.
Is it her progress, the things she's worked on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the car and stuff?
Yeah. Sorry, guys. We're just going to flip. I mean, because, wait, is there anything else that either of us have to add on this topic?
No. I feel like we could have a whole other discussion on leadership. It goes on. So we could have, like, a part 2 in the future or something. I don't know.
I would totally be here for a part 2. I would
too. We're communication majors. Like, we have involved discussions all semester long about this kind of stuff. So.
Literally. We could, I think, were you there for the group dynamics day last semester?
No, I was like sick or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that class, really quick. So basically, I'm trying to figure out how to say this without breaking laws. I TA a class and there was difficulties going on in group projects.
Oh, yeah.
That's
good to say it. Yeah.
And so they had this other professor come in that teaches conflict management. That's the class that they teach. And literally he took the whole class out of the classroom, put them all in the middle of like ours of the building, and they all had to make a group, and they all had to like move hula hoops while holding hands and like stepping through them. And it was so fascinating because everybody was coming up with ideas and they were all having to rely on each other and communicate. So fascinating to see these groups of people where people weren't necessarily getting along.
And they had to do this.
And they had to do it. Mm-hmm.
That's the last class I have left to take. I'm so excited.
Conflict management?
I'm so excited. Yes.
Dude, I've considered taking it.
I love that whole cluster. Yeah.
I've been
love it.
Yeah, I hear such back and forth messages on that class. I don't know. Afterwards, we should talk about when you're taking it, because I do have random electives.
Yeah. We could be in it together. Yes.
Maybe. Yeah.
My last class.
Yes. It depends on when you're taking it, but I wouldn't be opposed, because taking the other class together was fun. Anyways.
It was fun.
Complete side topic. Where's Caitlin? Caitlin is hanging out with family.
Yeah.
And her hope was to come hang out with us today.
She's driving right now, right?
She just got in. So she was driving on Monday, which is why we didn't have art check on Monday. And now she's hanging out with her family. And so art check is important, but family is also super important. And this is people that she doesn't get to see a lot. So that's where Caitlin is. She's done with her road trip and not next week, but the week after. So Monday's art checks are kind of going to be spotty. Wednesdays will always be here though. So with that being said, Caitlin sent us some progress that she wanted to sew. She made this thing. It was for a friend's birthday. So it's like a wolf.
Okay, and then who's the person in the hat?
It's her friend.
Gotcha. I was like, oh, it's a friend.
Yeah, so she made it for her friend for his birthday. So it was interesting to watch it kind of progress because at one point the face was like down here. And I was like, is that a face? And she was like, yeah, I'm going to make that more obvious, I guess. I was like, and so it like kind of became this thing. Anyways.
I like that better.
Yeah, me too. So right before we wrap up, sorry, I was adding somebody's stuff. Emily, where can we find your stuff?
Gumminelli.
Everywhere.
I'll always find it as Gumminelli. Gumminelli.com and Gumminelli on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Yeah. That's where I'll be.
Yes, everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. You want to find my stuff, go to @diuguidvisuals. Everywhere. I even changed it on Facebook.
Hey.
Because on Facebook, you apparently have like an @username.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you can type in @diuguidvisuals on anything and you will find me there. Sorry, Salazar said something. And we talked about somebody who we both know. She's a great friend @KylieLee.creative. I just double checked that that's the correct Instagram handle. Go check her out. Kylie is amazing. She does amazing work. She is an amazing person.
Yeah. And she's doing really cute portraits right now.
She is. And she's an amazing illustrator. It's been very interesting because I am surrounded by illustrators who have such different styles, especially when we're just sitting at the table.
Yeah.
Really, she's an amazing illustrator. I'm going to talk to her and ask her to come on. And so, yeah.
Wait, how do I?
Yeah, we'll text her. We have a group chat with her, so we'll text her.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, you want to come on? And we'll see if she'll maybe come on next Wednesday since Caitlin won't be here.
Maybe we'll talk about like social media with her or something.
That actually, you know what? We could totally do that. So we have a professor. He's a social media professor. And she's come on.
Yeah.
She was his TA. It's me now.
Oh, yeah. Duh.
Kylie's a recent graduate. She's amazing. She's super talented. And so maybe she'll come back because she TA'd that social media class for a while and she knows how to run social media accounts.
She's cool. And I kind of want to pick her brain. So, and we haven't seen her in a while. Yeah.
I miss Kylie. I haven't gotten to tell her that I'm coming back to Idaho. Anyways, we'll talk about this after, but thank you guys so much for joining us. As always, if you could like or dislike, it doesn't really matter. It'll help the algorithm either way. People are interacting. But I would prefer it if you liked. Like, comment, all of it. Thank you guys for joining us. But we will see you guys on Wednesday.
Yeah.